Good afternoon. Why am I here? Why am I doing this? Why am I doing this job? Or maybe, why am I dating this person? Maybe right now when there's people that are reading the bulletin or falling asleep, why do I even try? Just kidding. In the busyness of life, the why question usually doesn't get asked early enough or often enough. We're usually running around and just trying to get through a day or complete our to-do lists. But answering the question why is extremely important. Knowing why we do what we do matters. Today we're starting a new message series called Rebuilt. It's the title of a book written by two men who run a very successful Catholic parish near Baltimore, Maryland. Rebuilt is all about stopping everything and starting over. They tell the story about how moving into an existing parish that was failing, they found themselves struggling to just keep pace with day-to-day life and never stepped back to look at why. At least that's how it starts. They were running in place, struggling to keep up, but the faster they ran, the further they got behind. The more they provided in their parish, the faster they had to run just to stay in the same place. The net effect of their efforts was creating consumers in whom nothing changed, no one was challenged, and the parish never accomplished anything more than being a cheap, poorly managed country club for Catholics. We spoke a little bit about this last year in our Take Care of Your Mother message series. Remember the phrase, when we lose our why, we lose our way. And from the very start of his ministry, Jesus faced the same problems, running in place and trying to find his purpose. He went searching in the desert, and the devil tempted him. Luke describes 3 temptations that Jesus had because he was human like us, that he experienced these temptations. First, there was that of hunger. Jesus is fasting, which is a great spiritual exercise and a way of discipline. And Jesus quotes from Deuteronomy, "One does not live on bread alone." Then he, the devil, took Jesus up and showed him all the kingdoms of the world in a single instant. The devil said to him, "I shall give you all this power and glory, for it has been handed over to me, and I may give it to whomever I wish. All this will be yours if you worship me." The temptation of power and glory. And Jesus deals with this temptation in the same way that he dealt with the first, that he quotes Scripture. It is written, "You shall worship the Lord your God, and him alone shall you serve." Finally, there's the third temptation. And the devil quotes some Scripture of his own. He said, "If you are the Son of God, throw yourself down from here, for it is written, he will command his angels concerning you to guard you, and with their hands they will support you, lest you dash your foot against a stone." Which is from one of the Psalms, Psalm 91. And Jesus goes toe-to-toe with the devil. He says, "It also says, you shall not put the Lord your God to the test." Each of these temptations are closely related and part of a single temptation. Temptation is really attractive. That's why they call it temptation. It's about taking the shortcuts, taking rewards without effort, avoiding the hard work and the heavy lifting. The temptation Jesus faced was to forget about the cross and take the easy way out. The temptation was simply to allow himself to be distracted from his mission, from his why, and take the easy way out. So when it comes to our parish, what is our why? I know that many of you are familiar with this, so consider it kind of a primer. That from the very beginning, Jesus is clear about what the community of his followers should be doing. He said, go and make disciples. The church exists to make disciples of Jesus Christ. This parish, the why of our parish, is to make disciples of Jesus Christ. And what are disciples? Students. Just students. Not saints, not fully formed followers, not perfect people, just students of Jesus Christ. People who are trying to live more like him and mature in him a little more today than yesterday. Individually and together as a community, we need to keep our focus on making disciples. Our music, our message, our ministry, our missions, small groups, kids and student programs, the Mass itself, all should be about making disciples, students of Jesus Christ. The problem is that the gravitational pull in our church world is toward consumerism. When we're distracted from our mission or unclear of our why, the temptation is always going to be toward consumerism. It's easy, even though it's a trap. If you reduced all of the church's other problems down to a single problem, it would be this. We've allowed ourselves to become irrelevant. Almost everywhere in Europe, and increasingly so in the United States. And sadly, more and more in our own families. And what's true for the church as a whole is true for us as individuals. The tendency toward consumerism. No sacrifice, no effort beyond what it takes to find our way here once a week. Now, if you're new or back for the first time in a long time, or you're going through some transition and you're just consuming, that's fine. But if we're supposed to be disciples and we're still just consuming, it's not fine. So here's what I would like you to do this week. On your ride home from work or from church this evening, or in some quiet time, ask yourself these questions. Why do I go to church? And some possibilities that we may come up with. Is it out of obligation or guilt reduction? Is it part of my custom and habit? Does it provide comfort and care? Is it communion consumption? Religious instruction? Catholic babysitting? My mom is watching. To set a good example, where the music is awesome. That all of those answers are consumerism. If that's you, then stop making church all about that. Stop making church all about you and start making church matter.